You're new to Spain and in need of legal help. When you live in a country that is foreign to you, you want someone who speaks your language, who understands you, and who will have an answer to all immigration and nationality matters. At Pellicer and Heredia, you can count on a specialist in international law and a multidisciplinary team that can help you handle all the necessary formalities. Do you want to take advantage of the Golden Visa program? We will help you obtain the residence visa for investors through the purchase of a property or via a business project that you're looking to develop in Spain. Do you need a residence permit? Obtain it for non-profit purposes or through family, work, study, research and training purposes. If, on the other hand, what you are looking for is a renewal, we take care of the whole process, so all you need to do is leave your fingerprint. We also deal with re-entry permits in the case that you want to leave and return to Spain. And of course, we help you obtain the certificate of registration as a European citizen, the foreigner's identity number, Spanish citizenship, and the certified translation of documents in all languages. Because at Pellicer and Heredia, we know that speaking your language is the only way to gain your confidence. Trust that we repay with 2 words: professionalism and commitment. Pellicer and Heredia, international lawyers.
Hello, good afternoon. Welcome back, everyone, after the summer holidays today in Spain, in sunny Spain. I've got the pleasure to have excellent guests today and speakers. Hello, Richard. Can you hear me from Expats in Spain?
I can hear you, and thank you for inviting me.
Right. We've got, on the other hand, we've got Michael Davies from Almeria, Davies Solicitors. Hello, Michael.
Hi, Ignacio. Nice to see you all.
Yes, and we've got Pedro. Actually, Pedro's coming from Madrid today. That he had a court case, and he's on his way, and he's just ready to join us, but still not there. Well, first of all, I would like to thank you all for being there during, probably, Michael, we've been here already 60 webinars already, and it's excellent to be and last so much, and that really means that people need the information and they're grateful. And I'm very, very happy that people still send us the questions for us to do our best to share our knowledge. And thank you, Richard, for all the time taking advice from us and then obviously sharing information from people. Today, we're going to talk all about relocation. I know, if you don't remember, on the 1st of January, probably the first week in January, we just held a meeting about relocation and the new legal scenario for expats in Spain, obviously as non-European citizens. We're having a lot of questions about living in Spain, working in Spain, paying taxes in Spain, paying abroad, being non-resident here, being tax raised in a different country, having the immigration paperwork, having health and social security. So I'm sure, and this is the beauty of it, you please send us your questions. I know there is a lot of people in the webinar, a lot of people that have questions, and we'll do our best. And Michael, myself, Pedro and Richard will try to select them and try to give answers straight away. I'm going to pass over to Richard to see from his association point of view, Brexpat in Spain, where are we now, Richard, with the relocation subject? Over to you, Richard.
Hi, everybody. I'm the Vice President of Expats in Spain, an organisation now with 28,000 members in Spain and in the UK. We thought it would go quiet after Brexit. We were wrong. Since January, the situation has left many people confused, and that has been quite a problem. There are many people who consider themselves applicable under the withdrawal agreement to get their TIE in Spain, and are finding themselves refused because the Spanish authorities consider that they probably haven't been in Spain for the time that they say. Now that's a problem. For many, not for many, but for some, they haven't been in Spain and they are what we term swallows, not derogatory term, but they are swallows, and they are attempting to retain that ability to come backwards and forwards. Well, the truth of the matter is you can't. The 90 days is the 90 days. We've got people who don't understand the NLV process. Many people who don't understand the NLV process, and I believe Ignacio will go through that. We've got many people who don't understand that tax is now exceedingly relevant and should be looked at prior to getting here. Not when you arrive, not after you arrive, but you should look at your tax position before you get here. We've got many people who don't understand the situation with driving licenses. We've got many people who don't understand the situation with regards to wills and inheritance and buying property. And all these questions are still coming into Brexpats in Spain. And luckily, we've got people like Ignacio, like Michael, my friend Michael Davies, and we can contact them and we can get the legal answers. Many answers we know ourselves and we answer the question. So I would say to people, join Brexpats in Spain on Facebook, or in this particular case, Brexpats in Spain, Comunidad Valencia. If we can't answer the question, one of the people here and others who we work closely with will be able to answer your question. Thank you, Ignacio.
Thank you, Richard. I'm going to just pass over to Michael, and then I will make a summary and jump into questions and answers, because I think it's very relevant what Richard just said. Doing planning, a lot of people, I'm sure Michael will share, these people are planning to go more ahead on the immigration paper, the tax planning, buying a property in Spain. So now more than ever, it's good to do homework. Michael, over to you. Tell us your experience from the 1st of January on the relocation side, especially the non-resident now, non-European, because I know you have hundreds and hundreds of clients, and it will be nice to hear from you. Over to you, Michael.
Okay, Ignacio, thank you. Okay, well, for those that don't know me first, my name is Michael Davies, and I'm a lawyer down here. We have an office in Marbella, another one in Oaxaca, and one in Almeria. So we work in the Andalucía area. Ignacio works in the Alicante area, and then Pedro Heredia, who I can't see yet, is up in the Denia area. I specialize mainly in inheritance work for expats, but we obviously, our offices do a lot of conveyancing as well. So we got a thing. I always like to hear Richard on these webinars because he has a much better, he really is on the front line of the residencias and all the relocation, how it all happens, and all the sort of problems that come his way. Because normally most of your clients, Ignacio and ours, they sort of tend to have everything more or less in order, but Richard sees what happens to all those people that are not as organized. So it's great to see how that actually works. Okay, we're seeing lots of problems since Brexit. A lot of people are now have realized that the TIE, yes, it wasn't obligatory, but yes, now they're seeing it in reality. It wasn't obligatory, but in reality, they should have actually have done one. And they're thinking that as things move forward, it's probably going to be even more necessary. It just seems an obvious thing now. So I think that's one of the things that needs to be done. And in my case, nobody can say that I'm saying it because we're trying to sell residencias, because we don't do any residencias. It's impossible for us, because there was literally hundreds and hundreds of people writing to us with the business of the residencias. So we have a sudden burst of people that are becoming residents, and that does have some different effects on different things, on their taxes. And from our side of things, it has a lot of relevance regarding inheritance tax. So perhaps we can talk about that later, more specifically. So that's about it, Ignacio. So unless you want to sort of talk about something specific, or answer any questions.
Right, let's jump into, let's do a brief scenario, which I think is important to clarify. And we'll start with questions and answer, Michael. And probably we just could have the dialogue here among each other here. Now, let me just give you tips of advice here, which is very important if you're watching from abroad. I know there is a lot of American citizens, non-European citizens, Canadian, and all over the world. Now, for those who are British, obviously, now with regards to immigration is exactly the same as the non-Europeans that we had before, Americans, Canadians, Australia, a lot of countries, okay? So for us, as I will say to Richard, from a law firm, it hasn't been different because the only thing is what was European now is non-European, and we're used to this process. Now, things that I would like you to know about, things that you should probably know and do before you come over to Spain on the relocation side. First, I always recommend to do an appointment with independent lawyers to talk about your personal and specific situation. For example, when is the best time for you to come over to Spain? What is the tax calendar year? In Spain, we're talking about from the 1st of January to the 31st of December about the tax period. So saying that, if you come after the 1st of July, you're going to put yourself in a different scenario. You're going to be less than 183 days. So therefore, this existing year that you're going to come over, you will be non-resident. It is important more than ever, as Richard said, to make clear whether you're resident or non-resident. For those who come over as a tourist, you will come for 3 months. For those who are going through the visa program in the home country, Spanish consulate from your home country, obviously there is different type of visas that later on probably Pedro will explain a little bit on what is the non-lucrative visa, what is the golden visa, what if you want to set up a business in Spain and you will be getting that golden visa, how about the student, the work visa, etc. Opposite to that, you have the tourist, 90 days over the 3 months, over the 6 months, sorry, and maximum 180 days. For those who you still want to keep in the picture of being non-resident in Spain for many reasons, okay? So for those who want to stay in Spain as tourists for less than 6 months, you don't have to go through the immigration. You have the 3 months, 90 days over, and then you go back, and then you have another 90 days, okay? You will, if you have a property in Spain, it will be non-resident tax, and that's it. For those who you want to apply for residency, that means applying for the visa. The visa will start from the home country, the Spanish consulate from abroad, and then you will start come over here. Now, later on, Pedro will explain to you differences about the type of visa, but very important, as Richard told me before, it seems to me that a lot of people, I mean, some people are using lawyers like ourselves to do the immigration papers. Some people might be doing themselves and giving a try. I don't know how far the Spanish consulate is explaining to people what to do when they come over to Spain. Probably Richard later on will explain to us that there is a lot of confusion. We're not confused. I mean, at the end of the day, when you have your visa, the first thing I would recommend clients to come over when they come over here is to get a TIE and the fingerprint. Okay, it seems to me that some people forgot. Richard will let us know later on. Now, the tax planning is important. Why? Because I've noticed in all my career and experience that people sometimes make a move without really knowing what the tax implication at the end of the day is, how much it's going to cost you to come over here in the bottom line. And it's very important, if we're going to end up paying, how much is going to cost the bill and how much will be as a non-resident, how much, and then you could do planning. And it's great to see these kind of clients now doing video conference and things to do so. And it's important because you've got certain allowance in the UK, for example, or in your home country, certain things that are not being taxed, even though there is a dual taxation treaty that you could benefit later on from here. But if you're resident in Spain, you're going to end up paying taxes here. You need to know if you're retiring, if you want to withdraw all the pension, if you want to withdraw the funds or selling property, you really need to have these answers. How much money is going to cost me that move? And as long as you know, I think you'll be fine that. As well, with regards to later on, if Michael wants to go over with inheritance tax as resident and non-resident, we could just talk about that, even the impact, if necessary, on wealth tax, etc., etc. But now, I'm sure you will agree with me, but the first thing we need to think now when you are relocating to Spain is about immigration. That's the number one thing. And I will always recommend, in the meanwhile, to do tax planning, even while you're over there, if you want to do it, okay? Because that will make very clear your decision, whether you want to come over here for only 6 months or you want to come later. That will save you all the hassle on the immigration side, because if you're going to become non-resident, you really don't need a visa, okay? Now, I'm going to introduce to Pedro. Pedro Heredia, he just came from Madrid, as I said, and he managed to do it. Pedro's got a lot of experience on all these programs of visa from many years ago. And I'm going to pass over to you, Pedro, if you could explain to us a little bit about what is a non-lucrative visa, legal tips about it, golden visa, and the recent case you dealt with about entrepreneur making business in Spain, getting employees, etc. And then we could jump on into question and answers and probably just discuss a little bit about any other topic. Over to you, Pedro.
Well,
can you hear us?
I cannot hear at all. Let me just is a video here. Just a minute. Ignacio, I cannot hear you very well right now. Let me just, I cannot see you. But anyway, we'll start. I don't see the video right now with the computer, but I will start anyway. Well, first of all, I apologize for being late. I've been in Madrid and I couldn't come earlier. Well, hello, Richard. Hello, Michael. I haven't said anything to you. Okay, well, just to make a brief introduction of immigration, and we've been in the last, I would say, the last 2 years with a lot of questions regarding moving to Spain, and obviously, as Ignacio has said, regarding immigration, but it is totally linked with taxes. And every single week, we have appointments and video conference with clients in order to make a simulations, to study and make a tax planning. What would be the scenario whenever someone is resident in Spain and for all reasons in order to declare worldwide income in Spain? What would be the taxes? What would be the submission of some declarations? I mean, everything about taxes is always linked with immigration, but the immigration is really the entrance door. I mean, normally there are, as Ignacio has said, there are like a main probably with certain certain type of client. No-lucrative visa is really one of the main ones right now when someone is retired. When someone who do not wants to work, is just to come to Spain to probably buy a property and just retire and relax and enjoy the weather, the gastronomy, everything, and just retire here in Spain. So normally in these cases is no lucrative visa is the one who fits perfectly with that. And one of the things that is being said by Ignacio, I mean, with the no lucrative visa, which is a non-working visa, so you are not allowed to work in Spain, you have to show enough grounds in order to live in Spain. You have to show enough financial means in order to live in Spain. And that's really the main issue. You are not allowed to work and you have to have enough financial means. For one person is approximately 27,000 euros. For two people, like a marriage, will be 34,000 euros. It's 27,000 euros one person, and every single family member which is attached to that application will be another 7,000 euros each. So it is a visa where you apply for to have authorization to be resident in Spain. So you are allowed to enter in Spain and you're going to be resident in Spain. And for that reason, it is linked, absolutely linked with the tax issues. And it's important to know one thing. What if I don't live in Spain less than 180 days? Well, during the period of authorization of that non-lucrative visa, well, you will not be allowed to renew it. Non-lucrative visa, you apply, firstly, you submit it for 1 year, and then you renew it for another 2 years, and then for another 2 years, and then for 5 years. 1 + 2 + 2 + 5. So whenever you apply for 1 year and you obtain a visa, and for that results, the authorization to be resident in Spain, you will have to demonstrate, in order to renew for the following 2 years, that you have been living in Spain more than half of a year, more than half of the period that you've been authorized. So there is no like escape door in order to escape about taxes really on this. If you want to keep living in Spain, obviously. If you don't want to renew it, well, that's perfect. You can live less than 183 days. You will not renew it, and you will go out in after 1 year or after 2 years, if in case that you were resident in 1 year. So taxes are a must to be studied whenever a non-lucrative visa is applied. It's always, whenever we have appointments, as Ignacio has said, with a non-lucrative visa, we always match into the tax planning in order to be able to clients to understand what would be the scenario, what taxes will be paid, what taxes should be paid according to the double taxation treaty and everything. So having said that, non-lucrative visa, you are not allowed to work. You have to have enough financial means. Obviously, having access to the health system through the public certifications from origin country, or in most of the cases will be a private insurance with one of the most reputable insurance company in Spain in order to cover that year to start. Okay, apart from that, there are some other documents, like mainly I would say is the criminal records and some medical certifications that will be required. So, and period of time that you're gonna obtain, and this is a question that is always asked. My client says, how much time do I need in order to get a visa to enter in Spain and be resident in Spain? Well, first, it takes maximum 3 months in order to answer your application. So once you submit it, it will be maximum 3 months. Normally, I would say it would take a couple of months. Then you will have a period of time of 1 month to collect the visa in order to be authorized to enter in Spain in the following 90 days. So what I normally say really is between 3 and 5 months, you will become resident. And when you enter in Spain, your lawyer we will be able to accompany you and apply for an appointment in order to make the TIE, which is identification card with the fingerprints, and you will be duly or be able to be identified. Okay, and just a brief tip about the golden visa. Where is the difference about the golden visa with the non-lucrative visa? The golden visa is an investment visa. It's a different kind of investment, bank deposits, buying shares of a company, and with the minimum amount to invest in order to get the golden visa is 500,000 euros on property. That's the minimum one, and I would say it's probably the 90% of authorization for residency to obtain the golden visa is given by the investment on property. Can be 1 property, 2 properties, 10 properties. It can be a land, a commercial, an apartment, a flat, whatever. It's just a property, the meaning of real estate, that will be able to be added to this investment in order to get the golden visa. The financial means or requirements are the same. It's 27,000 euros for 1 person, and the rest is family members, 7,000 euros each. And medical certification, criminal records, everything is the same. The main difference is the investment that you have to do in order to obtain the visa. And the main difference is that you, in order to renew, you obtain the residency for 1 year, and this plus 2 years, and then plus 5 years. To renew, you don't have to live in Spain. You don't have to be resident in Spain. You can stay just 1 day, and you will be able to renew it in the period of time. What you need to maintain is the investment. And when I say maintain, I refer to, in case that, for example, you have 10 properties or 2 properties or 1 property, and that the property is being attached to the application to obtain the golden visa, and you want to sell it, will not be any problem. You will be able to sell it if you buy another one with the minimum requirements of 500,000 euros. So if the requirements of the golden visa are given by the investor, even though you change from a bank deposit to a property to another one, that will be allowed in order to renew the golden visa, in this case, application to renew. So with the golden visa, you have a lot of flexibility, really, on to be resident or not. If you want to be resident, perfect, that's not a problem. You stay more than 180 days a year in Spain, then that's not a problem. You will be resident, and for those means you will be tax resident in Spain, and accordingly to you will have to declare your worldwide income in Spain. And that's really it's a flexibility that is given to this golden visa in order to, well, you decide whether you want to be resident or not, and if you want to be resident, would be a tax implications, obviously. And another thing, just to finalize, is to obtain the golden visa, when you have made the investments, the period of time from the submission to the resolution to get the golden visa is between 10 and 20 days. It's very fast. It's really, really fast. One more thing I forgot is that you can include those investments on property in Spain made from September 2013 until now. So if someone bought a property of 500,000 euros 2 years ago, 3 years ago, that counts, could be included into the golden visa. Do not have to be now or in the follow or after, just before applying for the golden visa. And Ignacio, this is a brief, obviously, tips of the golden visa, non-lucrative visa, and it is quite important. And with all the clients, we always inform about tax planning because it's extremely important. And in many cases, people is threatened about the tax implications in Spain, or what will be the situation. And I encourage, in order to always to make an appointment with a tax advisor in order to give all the details in order to show what will be the tax scenario on each circumstance. Ignacio, and I think this is enough in order to start. Okay. And
thank you, Pedro.
hello?
Thank you very much.
I cannot see you. But can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Pedro.
Okay.
Thank you for your explanation. I think you made it very clear the type of visas. And even I will add 2 things here. We're getting in the panel on the right-hand side, for those who are watching on the Zoom, that there is even citizens of Irish citizens. So for those, for example, Diane, who's just saying that she's married to an Irish, and things could be different because obviously Pedro, they're a European citizen. It might be probably worth it, depending on the case. We're happy to discuss it further. But the solution for those who are, for example, Irish, European, then they could apply for it, one of them. And then after that, if they're married or they are civil partners, if not, we could obviously register here, they could apply that residency permit as a family member. Okay, so probably that's it might be easier and faster, and you do it from Spain. What Pedro just explained, like the non-lucrative visa, you always apply from abroad. Pedro, Richard was saying that from Brexit in Spain, they're having a lot of problems, and Anna Hernandez just put it in the chat here, that people, I guess, they are applying for the non-lucrative visa by themselves through the Spanish consulate, and nobody tells them that they need to come over here and do the fingerprint and get their TIE card. I guess, Richard, you said that that's a general problem. Is that correct, Richard?
Oh, yes, it's a general problem. And people are saying that in the UK, they're not being told. And many advisors over here are not telling them either. So they're arriving in Spain with an NLV. And in fact, there is a question in the chat line on this. And people are arriving and think they've got an NLV. That's it. Job done, finished.
That's a problem. Yes.
That's right. I mean, this is for the non-lucrative visa with the British citizens. That's right. I mean, I think I explained it. It takes maximum 3 months, but then you have 1 month to collect, and then you have 90 days. Normally, it's 90 days to enter in Spain, and because just to have a resolution that you have obtained a non-lucrative visa, that is not the finish. The end. I mean, you still need to enter in Spain, because the entrance day will be the first day that you are resident, and that's important. For the renewal, which will have to be done 60 days before the end of a period of time. Could be also 90 days after the period of time, but will be fine. So it's important
Pedro,
to enter. Yep.
Yeah, just to clarify, let's put it into the picture. People making the application in the home country, doesn't matter whether it's UK, United States, or any other country from what they are listening now. They get the resolution, which is an authorization. They grant you the non-lucrative visa or whatever visa you had, and they just fly over to Spain. Pedro, could you clarify for people how much time they have to go straight and apply for an appointment? Because they need to apply for an appointment to do the fingerprint at the police station. Could you explain that again so it's clear?
Oh, well, it is. I mean, once you are authorized, you obtain the visa from the Spanish consulate. Normally, you have 1 month to collect this resolution, and this is the standard information, obviously. And normally, and I say normally because I would say that 99% of the cases is given a period of time of 90 days to enter in Spain. It's a visa to enter in Spain, really. And once you enter in Spain, you start being resident, and you have to apply for an appointment an immigration office with this resolution in order to make a fingerprint. Obviously, this is to be done rapidly. I mean, I would say in the following month will be an issue. We need to do it. Yeah.
That was actually, Richard, the American clients that we dealt with. I don't know if it's just about the consulate that is not making it very clear, but I don't know if Pedro or Michael, I had the impression that the Americans citizens, yes, they were informed or they understood, and a lot of them just come. Probably is a matter of the Spanish consulate not informing. Do you think so, Richard, or where is the main problem now?
Well, interestingly, in the chat, that's questions have come in from Jackie. If my friends from the UK come here on an NLV, do they have to apply for residency?
Yeah, here we go.
Gives them the right to stay for a year without applying for residency. And that is a common comment and question.
Interesting. Probably, Richard, in the resolution in Spanish, is said, but obviously since in Spanish, they might not be able to read. I guess, I'm just guessing, because the resolution must say on writing what it's all about. Obviously in Spanish, you don't deal. But anyway, that's a good comment. Richard, do you want to bring any other issues people from Expats are raising on the relocation side or problem that they're having?
Well, people are asking about inheritance tax. And one of the common questions that we're getting at the moment is on family reunification.
Michael, would you like to add something here on inheritance tax?
Well, with inheritance tax, there are sort of various things to consider. We've always thought that it's important to speak to the solicitor that's going to handle the conveyance about how inheritance tax works in Spain, because you don't pay the same inheritance tax all over Spain. Some regions are more expensive than others. We even did sort of like a traffic light, a system of red, green, and yellow over Spain. Andalucía is one of the best areas, together with Madrid. Valencia is also a good area. It's not as good, but it's very good. And then you have some bad areas like Murcia, where the inheritance tax is more expensive. Where there is a big difference, for example, is if you decide to become a resident, and lots of people are becoming residents now because of Brexit, that before they sort of just remain happily as non-residents. If they become residents, a beneficiary that's resident has to declare in Spain not just the assets that they're receiving in Spain, but what they are receiving worldwide. So what those people becoming residents need to think about is that there could be a very big difference depending on what region they're living in Spain, what amount of inheritance tax you're going to pay. So, for example, if you're in line to receive an inheritance from your parent in the UK, and you move to Andalucía, it doesn't matter if the inheritance is €2 million, because you're going to pay very, very little inheritance tax, up to €1 million, nothing, and then after that, a little bit. If, on the other hand, you move to Murcia, you move and become a resident in Murcia, even if there are no assets in Murcia, if your mum dies in the UK and you inherit €1 million from the UK and you happen to be a resident in Murcia, you will pay a whopping amount of inheritance tax, a very large amount. So, and in Valencia, you pay, but not too bad. You're halfway. So when everyone jumps into being a resident in Spain, which is what people are doing now with the Brexit thing to avoid the 90 days, not only have they got to speak to people like yourselves, expert in income tax, but if they're of a certain age, or they're going to inherit because their parents are of a certain age, etc., they should also speak to someone like us about inheritance tax, because becoming a resident can have a lot of implications depending on which region of Spain you live in. So that's what I'd like to say about inheritance tax. So, and then just the normal things, but like always before Brexit, to always make a Spanish will, it's very important, and to speak to someone about what your sort of tax liabilities are going to be regarding this tax, because you can do certain things to reduce the inheritance tax bill, you know, depending on if you do things one way or another. So it is important.
That's excellent. Thank you, Michael, because when people thinking about coming over here, yes, you need to talk about income tax return. We've got questions here in the panel about 720. For those who don't know yet, the 720 is a worldwide assets declarations only for residents. And you always do it if you have 50,000 euros abroad on 3 blocks of things. 1 will be bank accounts over 50,000 euros. 2 will be property purchase price over 50,000 euros, and bonds and shares over 50,000 euros. You must comply that after you become being resident from January to March of the following year. And then after that, from April until June, you've got the income tax return and wealth tax. It is important, as Michael said, when you're going to plan to become over or come over here, work remotely, be resident, etc., just try to do all your homework about how much will be inheritance tax, how much will be income, wealth. And we've been doing, Michael, very much, and I think it's good. It's good because you know exactly, as today the law stands. The only problem, we don't have the crystal ball, Michael, and we don't know whether Valencia will turn out in a paradise.
Oh, no, it could all change. It could all change, absolutely. It's just that, for example, I mean, at the moment, you know, someone comes over, it's very difficult to escape now. In the old days, it was very difficult to tell who were the good solicitors from the bad solicitors, because everything was so vague, and they were so, you know, people wouldn't declare things, so they got away with things. But just as an example, if you move over to Spain and become a resident in Murcia, for example, and your mum leaves you 100,000 euro on her will in the UK, in the old days, that resident in Murcia, maybe they just, you know, probate happened in the UK, they received their money in their bank account in the UK, and they just didn't bother to say anything to the Spanish tax office. Spanish tax office wouldn't find out, and they had no obligation of declaring anything, you know, on their annual returns. Nowadays, we've got the 720. So that lady, each year, she's got the obligation of saying what she owns abroad. So the trouble is that obligation renews every year, so there's no statute of limitation on it. So at the end, so she receives the money in the UK, doesn't say anything about it. She thinks, well, if I'm lucky, it will just go away. And then the next year, she's got to declare her assets abroad. What does she do? Does she declare that money? Not declare that money. And the following year, she's got the same doubt again. And one day she'll think, well, I don't know what to do with this money abroad. They haven't caught me yet, but it's never going to go away, because each year I'm non-complying with the law by not declaring the money over there. So what do I do? And it's a problem. If she's in Murcia and she receives 100,000 euro from her mum, she may pay 9 or 10,000 euro. If she was in Valencia, she wouldn't pay any tax at all. If she was in Andalusia, no tax at all. In Madrid, no tax at all. So it is important to speak to someone about inheritance tax, especially if you're going to become a resident. The same as they need to speak to someone about income tax, like yourselves, if they're going to become a resident.
Yeah, good advice, Michael. We've got here, well, obviously we have a lot of questions. Just feel free later on, Richard, if you think there is any other important topic as a general thing to advise, because here on the immigration side, I noticed, and Lucia here is just asking that she heard about the possibility of having a family member residency card. You know, there is certain things I'm still surprised, Richard, that people, I don't know, Michael, even in Lucia did happen. With regards to inheritance tax, the importance of being register civil partners, obviously. Okay, that's a lot of people don't know about that. And unfortunately, well, for different reasons, people are not being married, neither register. And that's really good for the immigration side, Michael, because let's say you're Irish, you come over here, more than 3 months, 9,000 euros in the bank, then you get your residency card, which is the old one, the green one that we all know. And then after that, and during planning, your husband or your wife is British, doesn't matter, you could get, Lucia, that residency easily. How? You need 12,000 euros in the bank of the European. And then after that, obviously, you will need the private health, etc., etc. So there is still possibility to do that in a road of immigration. And I consider that's important. A lot of people don't know the importance, Michael, of living together like civil partners, but duly registered from an inheritance tax point of view as well. It's not the same being friends, leaving everything to you. Yeah. Obviously, the tax bill, Michael, will be tremendous, wouldn't it?
Absolutely. But the thing is, as far as we all know, the group 1 and 2, so that's spouse and descendants, get a much, much better deal of inheritance tax than group 4 strangers. There's a lot of English people don't know, because in England they charge the estate, and here it's each beneficiary. There's a big, big difference. Now, regarding the common law spouses and things like this, there are problems, because the civil partnerships that come over from the UK that are official between the same sex couples, with those there's no problem. It's an official document, civil partnership. It's accepted in Spain without any problem. But in Spain, these lists that we have in the town halls and the regional government, you know, these common law spouses, if you like, it's very informal arrangements in some cases. And the tax office, we have had various occasions now where the tax office has queried our claim of a group 1 or group 2 beneficiary on the basis of them being on the common law spouse list, because of how informal they are. And also because now in Spain, unlike in the past, same-sex marriages are permitted without any problem. So the reason why those sort of exemptions existed before was because of the non-discrimination, etc. So all that's gone. And in our case, we've had them questioned sometimes. In other words, we always worry a bit when we present, we go to the thing, you know, and we say, instead of paying 50,000 euro tax, we're going to pay no tax because my client's a group 2 beneficiary. She's a common law spouse. And then we give them this little flimsy document from the registrar of the town hall that said, where they've said that they live together and their thing. The tax office is very, very suspicious of those.
No, but Michael, basically the experience that we're having here, and we're doing a lot because of the immigration, because all started with the immigration because of Brexit. You know, you've got one spouse who's one country and the other one the other. What we are facing here is going and registering the partnership in front of the notary. It
Yes.
normally takes here 9 months to register at the registry of civil partners.
Yeah.
And that allows you, the second, to acquire residency with a much easier, flexible requirement.
Yeah.
You don't need to go, because this
when you do that though in front of the notary up in the Valencia region, do they ask you for all the same requirements as when you try to get married? Do they ask you for proof that you're single, that you're not married before, or proof that you can get married? Do they ask you for all those elements of proof or not?
Yes, they ask you for a lot of them. But the experience that I've been handling, it hasn't been complex, and especially for immigration, Michael, not really for income tax return.
That's with the tax man. That's what they jump into. They say, well, look, what you've done here is just you've gone in, you both said that you live together, and for all I know, he may be your neighbour. It's a friend you want to leave your inheritance to, and you say 50,000 euro. And the question they always ask is, well, why haven't they got married? Because you don't have to get married in church. You just go into the town hall, you know. But
even the notary now.
Follow all the instructions. You've proved that you're single, all the normal things. So what we always say is, for the inheritance side of things, when there's a lot of money on the table, when we're playing around with a lot, we always get our clients to get married. Just call it a contract instead of a marriage if you want, but sign the documents correctly and sign the marriage. I can see it could be very useful for those other things, like
for the immigration. Basically, Michael, I could tell you the experience that we're having, and Diana, she's asking here questions. because she is Irish, the husband is British, and we're doing a lot of them, and we're just avoiding the non-lucrative visa process, the golden visa process, and it's pretty much straightforward, Michael. So,
good advice. Yeah.
I mean, it's good advice for that, and for inheritance tax, you take the same allowances as married couple. So as long as and it's in front of the notary. So it is important. Otherwise, as you say, but this is something to consider, but especially for immigration, you know, especially for immigration, which they don't need to go to the non-lucrative visa, because that's it. The wrong impression, Richard, people are having. My husband is European. I am not European. Do I need to go for a non-lucrative visa? And that's not, but everything needs to be planned, you know, because the process is different. You need to open a bank account, you need to put the money, you need to get residency first for the European. And then after 6 months, and after the European has a residency, you could apply for the other one, but you need to probably go back. So it needs a lot of planning, but there is a way forward here. Pedro, right, Richard, what would you like to add?
We mentioned earlier, I'm drifting off that subject of inheritance tax, but we mentioned earlier about family reunification, getting family members over. That includes, of course, carers, because many of the people over here are elderly and they require assistance, usually from a family member, to come over. Lucia, can I read out the question?
Yes,
go ahead. Thank you very much to all the panelists, and Ignacio has mentioned the option to obtain residency as an EU family member. Would this residency apply to a UK national married in July 2021 in the UK to a British temporary resident in Spain under the withdrawal agreement submitted in December 2020? The Immigration Office has insisted that UK nationals under the withdrawal agreement are no longer EU nationals and therefore may not invoke EU rights. Now, to me, that's wrong, but I'll look for your legal opinion on this. And could you also mention about carers coming over, usually children, to assist their elderly parents?
Let me just understand here, Richard. Basically, we're talking about one EU family member. Is that basically one of them are a family member, correct?
Correct.
Right, so one is already a European citizen, exactly the same case as Diane, and the other one is British, correct?
Correct.
Right, the residency is what you were just talking, unless Pedro, I don't know if Pedro wants to add something. What we're talking here is family reunification residency permit, and that's possible. I don't see an issue. That's what we've been talking here, Richard. I think that's not. Now with carers, I think that's a bit more difficult. I don't know if Pedro had a different scenario. Carers, I have even difficult situations where they want to bring people to help, etc., etc. I don't know if Pedro had any case about carers. Actually, I haven't seen a residency for a carer on just any other type of visa. Yeah, Pedro.
I mean, obviously, it's clear when European Union citizen applies for residency, and obviously the family members can be attached as a European Union citizen that will be resident in Spain. So, if, for example, that has an Irish passport, would be application for the residence for the Irish citizen, and obviously will be attached a family member, even though it's not a European Union citizen. That is clear. I think, as much as I have listened, interrupt me if I'm wrong, is that it's not the Irish passport, it's a British passport, which is resident under the British, under Brexit, under the withdrawal agreement, and the family member is applying in order to be resident in Spain attached to that residency under the withdrawal agreement with a British passport. So in that case, I think, Ignacio, you said about reagrupación familiar, which is a family member in order to be conducted into that residency, which needs to be living in Spain for 1 year and needs to demonstrate there's going to be another year, at least minimum in Spain, in order to apply the authorization. The first answer I would say cannot be done as a European Union citizen, even though it's resident, but it's a British citizen, non-European Union citizen, and it is not included in the withdrawal agreement with the reagrupación familiar. So I presume that probably has been said to this person has been denied, probably. I presume that. I'm not sure which is the question. I cannot read
think
it.
Pedro says is
being rejected, probably.
Yeah, probably there are European family members and the withdrawal agreement, isn't it? And
obviously the way to do it, it will be through reagrupación familiar, is one of the ways to do it. And but obviously these kind of cases, I personally has not still seen it. I have not been in a situation where it's a British and is bringing a third country member. But I assume, the way to do it is through the reagrupación familiar. It will not be able to be done, as far as I know, through the withdrawal agreement.
Actually, thank you, Pedro. I think, Richard, if I understood it correct, Pedro, I think it will be a good point to make the application for those who already have, I think it is what you said, the residency under the withdrawal agreement, and then family reunification based on the residency TIE that they had it in the past. To be honest, I probably think, if there is no other way around, is to apply. If they say no, I'll take it to court.
Yeah, even though that's what I want to say, that probably, I assume that this is absolutely damaging the EU rights.
Yes,
in order
that's the point, I think.
That's the point.
Yes.
And I'm sure that in the course we take more time, probably is not a better route because it will be delayed, but obviously it's a right that should be taken that way. Go through the course. That's right.
I fully agree, Richard. And probably my suggestion, obviously, to go to a professional. That's number one. Specialize on these things and be prepared to take it to court. Now, if there is a different road, obviously, every time we sit down, we just try to open all the possible visas that you might have and the time and the cost. And then it's for the client to decide whether it's really worth it to take, because a court case like this, Richard, is going to take a couple of years because you make the application, then they will say no. You will apply for a temporary residency based on all the EU rights. The judge might be very, very going through the details. And as a European member, because you got all the rights, the proper answer will be, should be getting the same rights. But always, immigration office, as you know, Richard, Extranjería, they are just an office of policemen, it's an administration, they're not judges. They do a lot of things that probably you, me, and not a lot of people understand, and they force us to take it to court. So my advice to this person will be, if you're prepared to take it further, go for it, Michael, would you like to add anything from all these questions that we have here that we've been missing?
Well, I was actually trying to see if I could find it somewhere, what the answer is to that question that Richard raised, because I think that there's going to be a lot of those. People, yeah. I understand what it is. It's if somebody has already got a TIE card themselves, but their wife and children are still in the UK, can they use the reagrupación familiar to bring them over and get them one as well? Or,
it will be fair.
Or is the TIE card not valid for that? So. Well, as we go forward, I'm going to still try and find the answer to that, because it must be written down somewhere, surely, in the whether it is or not. Because
but probably the fast answer, Michael, on the Extranjería will be rejecting. It's like the silly thing of the padron saying, "Oh, you didn't have the padron until the 31st of December," even though you've got notary witness statements, you've got the head teacher of the school saying that you've been here for 2 years. They won't listen, Michael. Sometimes they just very square. And I think this kind of case is going to be the one that they will say, no, reject it, and you'll have to take it further. Richard, would you like to add anything else here on from all these questions that we just had, which we are happy to, well, the question for George B, even though it's a very long one, the answer is he will have to do the 720. And I'm sure that a lot of people here might have more questions. We'll be doing more regular webinars. We're doing another one in 15 days about doing business in Spain. Richard, would you like to add something here?
Yeah, there are two there that have come in. If you become a Spanish citizen, then what happens to one when they return to the UK? would he or she be covered by the UK NHS? Two answers to that. If you're under the S1, i.e. you're over retirement age and you have an S1, you are covered. If you are not covered. You've left the UK, in which case you would need an 𝐸𝐞𝐥𝐿 card if you're visiting, which would give you emergency cover in the UK. And the one above it, any advice, I'll put this one back to you, Ignacio, is similar to the Lucia one from Ruthie. Any advice for a widow, 64 years, going to live with a daughter who has residency? I can't see an issue, but...
Right, basically, Richard, I think Ruthie, what she's saying, she's 64, and the daughter, I don't know whether he's well, obviously the daughter will be legal age, and after you are 21-year-old, you're not considered to be dependent. So my understanding here will be is a hard one to get a residency. I don't know if Pedro might add anything here. Different residency, yes, the non-lucrative visa, or probably the student visa and then change into a work visa, you see, but straight like caring for parents. I don't know if Pedro have experimented. I
think we pointed out. Yeah, I think we pointed out before. About this reagrupación familiar, which is the third country person that has any family member and has been living in Spain at least 1 year and has applied or has authorization to live at least another more year, then we have a right to apply for reagrupación familiar. This is family member in order to be added to yours. Is in when it's a third country family member. And for the ascendants, for parents, that's obviously can be done, but the residency, the authorization for residency, whoever has a residency, do not have to be like a temporary small one. It has to be like a long term. It's like a permanente. In this case, it's a long. We call it larga duración. Residencia larga duración is a long term residency. And when someone has like 1 year or 2 years, for example, residency, that things don't work with the reagrupación familiar. But it's a good question, and I would like to if it's possible to have like a video conference with this person, that would be fantastic in order to be able to know what is the circumstances, the scenario, and advise her or him properly.
I think actually most of the problems that we are facing, Rita, and correct me if I'm wrong, is family members now trying to come to Spain to help parents and things like that, correct? Probably. Correct. And this is something, Pedro, we should look into it eventually, because it's going to be a way around it. And right, yeah, Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, it doesn't affect as many people, but we've come up now with the two serious consequences of becoming a Spanish national. As you know, with all this mess, many people, including myself, have decided that the best thing is to become a Spanish national and avoid all the problems and all these things. Well, they just need to be aware of two things, though, most important things. The first one, the most important one, is that if you become a Spanish national and you have children, you cannot make a will in Spain leaving everything to your spouse. This is very important because Spanish people can't do that. And you can't choose because even though theoretically people become Spanish and then they keep their English passport, but Spain doesn't recognize the other nationality. So the moment that you become Spanish, you can't make a will in Spain saying I choose my national law to then do whatever I want with my estate. You'd have to leave 2/3 down to your kids. And this can be very, very important. We've come across this now a couple of times, and people, they can't believe it can be like that. And they say, I haven't spoken to my husband's kids in 20 years, and he hasn't either. And now they've got to receive 2/3 because he became a Spanish national. That's a disaster. So that's one thing. And the other one, which is more anecdotal, and that is that if you become a Spanish national, if you happen to have an RYA license to sail boats in the UK, because it's much, much easier than getting the title over in Spain, you can no longer use it. If the Guardia Civil, you sail your boat around in Spain, if you're an English national, English passport, you can use your RYA license, which is dead easy to get. if you become a Spanish national, the Guardia Civil will stop you. You've got to have a license for sailing that boat in Spain, and those licenses basically are a year course in Spain. So it's a big difference. We just came across someone that was in that situation the other day, and he's now taking the year course in Spain to get himself updated.
Well, very good point, Michael. Yes, I agree. When applying for nationality, is good to have all these points. Is good to do planning, as you said. Very good point. So thank you for that, Michael. Richard, would you like to add anything else?
No, I think that's about it. I do think the family reunification, as Michael said, it's going to become a growing issue that we're all going to have to deal with.
Well, we'll work on it then, and probably in possible webinars, we could just give you updates on that to explore more rooms over there. Okay, Richard, thank you very much for your sharing knowledge. Michael, great to see you as well. Thank you again for sharing this time with us. Pedro, thank you. Guillermo, Juanfran, I'm going to pass over to Juanfran and obviously share with you beautiful scenery of the Spanish fields. Over to you, Juanfran.
You can't stop thinking about it. That hidden cove, just for you. That little hideaway in the mountains. Or that beautiful postcard town. Dreaming about enjoying the fresh air again. Feeling the sun on your skin. Exploring, walking. Traveler, there is no path. Paths are made by walking. Never stop dreaming. Spain will wait.